Yeah, ErikOnPaper here, and we're at the Daily Bugle set. We have the DP there just going through an existential crisis like we all are. You doing okay, Daniel? He's not doing okay, but it's looking good. Well, thank you all for voting for the bigger update video. It just meant a lot more work for me, so thanks. I'm just kidding. Before we get started, I want to talk to you about Raycon earbuds. Actually, I don't because I don't use them. Anyway, earlier in the month we shot Spider-Man on green screen using the body double, Greg, and he looks great, not to discredit Bryn's performance at all. He's a bodybuilder and everything like that. Bryn, no offense, but you cast Greg, so I can say whatever I want. But Greg took direction well.
Greg is also a cosplayer known as Sentinel Seattle, and being a big comic fan and also a fan of the Raimi movies, he studied the body acting of the Spider-Man doubles and how they portray that Spider-Man on screen, really to get the mannerisms down. And I think he nailed it, except when he took a phone call and let all the bad guys get away. So spoiler alert, bad guys win. Just kidding. Anyway, he did tremendous work.
And to answer everyone's questions, yes, we have seen the Spider-Man 4 animatic. I get sent that at least twice a week. So much so that we've incorporated it into the film, as you can see in this clip.
We had the video pulled out and we were following it as close as we could. It's going to turn out great. We also got some footage of Bryn as Peter Parker arriving at Fisk Tower and looking at his future, where nothing bad will happen, right? Right?
Bryn and his girlfriend Rachel had built the Daily Bugle set, and it was looking really good. Those who are on the High Mountain Studios Patreon got to see it under construction and things like that. When I showed up at the location, it looked great. We just had a few finishing touches to put on. Then the actors showed up, and it was been like the most fun 3 days I've had working on a movie in a very long time. In no particular order, of course, we need to talk about Danny Mallow as J. Jonah Jameson. He is a really talented guy, also our sound person, so talk about multitasking. He ran and managed sound while giving a really stellar performance. You know, we had a lot of talks about the character, where things came from. He had a lot of suggestions, too, about the character, ideas, things like that.
Front page! Spider-Man and Gator connected. Hoffman, you're on.
I'm not sure I like that name.
How about the reptile? Crap.
It's one thing to write a script, but when you get into like the rehearsal process and things like that, and that's actually the funny thing too. We rehearsed the scene like years ago, it felt like. And then obviously the pandemic happened. But when we got onto location, we'd retained everyone who was at that rehearsal. And I mean, people had dropped off the project for various reasons, you know, like, oh, you know, I have something going on, or my life changed, or things like that. And I understand that, but we kept that same cast, and even at the first read-through, Danny did a really good job, and just when we worked on it further and further, he got more and more into the Jameson character, and by the last day, it was like so effortless for him. He was making us crack up, and actually I ruined a couple takes because I'm a true professional, because I'd crack up a little bit after a line read. It was all intentional, but the comedic timing was there that I wanted. Also, I have an interview here with Tommy Lee Driver, who did an expert job playing Robbie Robertson.
Readers are tired of it. We're barely getting afloat as it is. Tommy Lee Driver playing Robbie Robinson.
Okay, so are you a comic fan?
I'm a comic fan of Spider-Man. My three favorites, I do this when I teach college classes, is Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman. And I use those as examples of leadership. And I think Spider-Man is a great mentee to be a future great leader to run the entire universe. That's what I call it.
Nice, nice. So, so what are your thoughts on the character Robbie?
Well, the character Robbie is me a little bit because I'm used to doing a lot of things in an office. And I think that Robbie has the character of a dad type as well as a good partner to Jonah. But Jonah's in his own world, so I have to balance him out a little bit to keep his equilibrium in the office sane.
So, have you ever had a boss like J. Jonah Jameson?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In a military career, yes, I have. Many COs used to bark like that a lot.
So you can handle Jameson.
I can.
Nice.
Oh, the film's going great. I just, again, every set, every opportunity is just to have, I guess, a new experience. It's organic for me, meaning I can actually act in any scenario in any location, and it just feels fresh.
Do you have any message you want to say to the fans watching?
You're gonna love this one. Sony messed up by not doing Fan 4. They don't do Fan 4s, but they could have done a 4. But thank goodness we're doing it, so you can enjoy another Spider-Man. So enjoy it.
He is an amazing man. He has like 3 doctorates, I think. Career military, so yeah, I'm thinking you were the most overqualified person to be here on the set. And but he and Danny played really well off of each other. Tommy took direction really beautifully.
Spider-Man running with Black Cat.
That's not the full story, Jonah. Look, they're fighting in half the pictures.
I really liked, anything I would suggest, he would just make it work. So what I'm saying is, if you're a director or producer and you need a really good actor, hire either of these two. Actually, you can hire anyone on this cast. Daryl Yust as Hoffman, well, first off, Hoffman is like everyone's favorite punching bag in the Daily Bugle. And as a human being, I felt bad about that, but as a director, I made sure that, poor Hoffman suffered so terribly.
Hoffman? Yes, Mr. Jameson. If you ever say something that mind-numbingly stupid again, I'm going to fire you, and then hire your mother to replace you, and then fire her for giving birth to such a moron.
But he had great comedic timing, hilarious instincts, and a couple of his own suggestions too. And then you find out that Daryl also has extensive stunt training. So I'm thinking, we could have had J. Jonah Jameson set Hoffman on fire, and this could have been a legitimate thing. Well, I suppose we couldn't. We would have burned down the set.
Is that Parker? Parker, get in here!
Good luck in there. It's crazier than usual.
How bad could he be?
Oh, you'll see.
Last but not least is Krista Johnson as Betty Brand. Krista I'd worked with before on a werewolf horror short. Now, she may seem like a Disney princess in real life, but I've seen her cut a heart out of a werewolf, so she's pretty badass, but again, excellent comedic timing, extremely professional actor, and I kept, in a good way, freaking out because it's like she would come, her hair all ready to go, and the cap and the Brandt hairpiece or wig would go on, and she looks so much not only like the Raimi movies, but like the comic book, that I was like nerding out seeing my friend really transform. And we got, what's amazing is that the actors hadn't really been together a lot of time, but within just like a couple hours of working out and rehearsing, that chemistry, that family feeling that I was really hoping to achieve was there, and it really clicked. So that was a really great time. Also, of course, Bryn as Peter Parker is excelling.
What? You're playing Spider-Man for this? You can't do that. He was trying to save people.
Ha! The hell I can't! We don't have the whole story here, but what I do know is Spider-Man is connected to this monster somehow. And as far as I see it, every drop of blood shed by this lizard is blood on Spider-Man's hands.
I think you'll see that Bryn and Danny had really great chemistry. Also need to give a usual shout out to my DP, Daniel Husser, who does a great job with lighting anything. He's I tend to be an impatient type of director where like I just want to keep going. You know, I'm kind of like a relentless puppy, you know, after a toy. But Daniel say, "Hang on, have to make the light look perfect," and he always does. There's always a little touch here, like, oh, need to add a highlight, need to add a this and that. And that's why this film is going to look as good as it does. So where does Spider-Man 4 go from here? Well, we've got a lot we're going to do. We're going to get stuff of solo scenes of Peter. We've got Mary Jane's stuff coming up. We had a very good meeting, actually just today, with the Black Cat. And it looks like we're going to be getting her starting at the end of October and heavily into November. We've got some Shocker things, some Vulture things. New sets are being built for various locations, such as like Connor's lab, the Smythe lab, which is, of course, what everyone is looking forward to, right? Right? Just kidding. Well, hopefully not. Anyway, so we have a ton of things that we're going to be working on and giving you more updates. And coming up pretty soon is I'm going to upload a video where of a prop that I actually made for the Spider-Man 4 film that was absolutely integral to everything we ever filmed at the Daily Bugle. No, I am not upselling myself. But anyway, this has been Eric on Paper, and keep telling your stories. I want to see them.